What's up guys, welcome back to Seize the Speed for another car review. Today, to the right side of me, we have the all-new 2019 Volkswagen Atlas. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, here we are in the interior of the all-new 2019 Volkswagen Atlas. Now, the first thing I want to focus on is this infotainment screen right here. As you can see, we have Apple CarPlay with this car. This is sweet setup right here. But a downside with Apple CarPlay is that you got to plug in your phone for this functionality to be available. And there are a few lags and issues with it that they need to sort out, but nonetheless, it is pretty neat to have in the car. Now, as for the interior, as you can see, we got the back seats, the third row seats up. You can sit 7 people in this vehicle comfortably. We have pretty nice stitched leather seats in the car. And down here, as you can see, they are heated. We have dual zone climate control. And I'm sure you can, this is only the SE model. I'm sure you can put seat coolers and a lot more for this car. Now, onto the steering wheel, as you can see, you got your voice memos, typical stuff. Down here, there's a button which shows you your little safety features. We got blind spot monitoring. We got rear traffic and front traffic sensors in this car, which is pretty useful. I'll talk about that a little bit later. As for amenities and comfort for your rear passengers and front passengers, you have plenty of outlets. There's USB right here, there's one down there, and there's a couple back here where the rear climate control is. Also, the car has heated mirrors right here, as you can see. It's good for the cold weather, so you can see where you're looking at. Next thing I want to focus on is this little mode dial down here. What happens when you push this button? If you look up here, you can see the different modes of the car. We got Eco, Normal, Sport, and Custom. On the Custom one, you can just adjust your settings for your steering and your drive system, put auto drive or regular. Sport just tightens out the steering and the gearing. Normal is just your regular drive position, and Eco will put your air conditioning and also your shifting into a more smoother, economical ride, and gives you better gas mileage. As for gas mileage, what we're getting here, honestly, this is just for this drive, so it's not very accurate since I just drove about half a kilometer to get here. But we've been averaging about 19.1 mpgs, and this is the V6 model, so I would assume you would get a little bit of a better gas mileage with the 4-cylinder. However, it is really down on power. With the 4-cylinder, this is this has decent power to get you out of certain circumstances, and it's a bit of a more fun experience to drive and toss it around the corners with the V6 for sure. Alrighty, we're gonna hop in the rear seats and show you some of the features in the rear seats. We have reclining, everything back here is manual, but they do move. This seat is completely functional. As you can see, I can move this piece by itself to give the back passengers a little bit of more of a leg room, or give myself all of the leg room and the headroom in here, which is pretty sweet. This seat is in its reclined position. You can fold it up or recline it all the way back for a more comfortable ride. We got window shades back here, as you can see. If I can get them to work, there they are. Not your typical fancy German car, but it does have all the options. They're just not powered. Down here, if you look at the climate control, and you can see those outlets down there. Same thing with the front. You can just turn it on right there. You have vents right here, and also in the back for the third row passengers, right there. And as of right now, as you can see, we got plenty of legroom, but if you look at the legroom in the back, it's not that good. So you can fold this seat up so you can sit 7 people comfortably in this vehicle. So here we are in the trunk area of the Atlas. We're gonna show you how much storage space you have back here. You got your spare tire underneath here, and you got a decent amount of space with all the seats folded up. You can put maybe a couple golf bags here, you know, little cubby storage holes over there, and I'll show you what it looks like with the seats down. Alright, so to fold down the seats, you gotta put down these headrests, and then you can just pull this tab, and there you go. There's no, you know, it's not a Bentayga, but it works. Boom. Now it's fallen flat, the seats are down, you can fit your whole cargo back here, you can move small furniture, you know, anything you need to move with your Volkswagen. And you can also put the front seats all the way up for a little bit of more storage, but it doesn't really give you that much more. It's about the same as this same seat. Same thing with this seat, going up a little more, gives you a little more cargo storage. So another downside of the Atlas, at least in this particular SC trim model, is that there's a blank for it, but there is no power lift gate down here, so you have to do it manually and close this thing, which it is fine for a sub 40 grand car, but if you spec it out and get one of the nicer trim models, I'm sure you get all that power. Alright guys, driving the 2019 Atlas, we're gonna give you some pointers about how it feels to drive on the road. It has a pretty smooth ride, but not air suspension quality, you know, it's still a shock and strut. I'm not sure if you can actually spec this car with air suspension like you can in the Q7. In terms of space, there's a lot in this car. We have comfortably fit 8 of us in here for the past about 10 days. I'd say the third row is a little bit of a tighter fit, but still compared to a lot of cars, I can fit back there comfortably. It's just an issue of a leg room if you want a lot up here, because the middle row slides back and forth. You just kinda gotta divide your leg room with the passengers in the third row. Basic amenities, you got, you know, dual zone climate control up here, which is quite nice. If you wanna, you know, be cool, your passenger doesn't want to do that, you can set it to your own temperature. We got heated seats in here. Also, this is a pretty safe Volkswagen, as we are used to seeing. This car has front collision warning, which actually came to use one time in the past week, because I don't know where I was looking, and then it beeped and just jammed on the brakes, which is pretty sweet. We didn't die. Another thing is the blind spot monitoring assist in the mirrors, which tells you when there's a car in your blind spot. Also, it has sensors in the rear, in addition to the backup camera that can sense a car oncoming from sides, so when you're backing out the parking spot. Also, it senses the pedestrians behind you. We're gonna do a little pull in sport mode here. Low Civic SI passing us. We're gonna see who's faster real quick. Hit it. Yeah. Taking out. As I've said this whole week, it is a pretty comfy ride. It is a great car for the family, but the V6 it's not quick by any means, by any standards. If you do want any sense of sportiness in an SUV, I wouldn't choose the Atlas. But in terms of practicality, it's 100 over there and a 0 on the performance. To be honest with you, I don't know why they even put a sport mode. The sport mode does tighten up the shifts. It is an 8-speed automatic gearbox. It shifts a little, you know, later. It holds the shifts. The steering gets a little tighter, which the steering is fantastic. The car handles great. To be honest, in terms of performance, I'd give it a few scores over there, because it handles very good and very flat for the size. You know, any 7-seater would have rolled over in some situations when I was driving it. But this thing just didn't bat an eye. This car is equipped with the 4Motion all-wheel drive. You can use that when you put it in off-road mode. It'll get you out of tough spots. It is a pretty smart all-wheel drive system. However, there is no, not much adjustability to it. It's just on-off, and basically normal mode. I think it's not always on. I think the car's front-wheel drive biased. This particular model is a V6 SE 4Motion. So the base price of this car is about 30 grand, 31,000. This model, as we're testing, is about 36, give or take, maybe a little more. This vehicle, you can get the Atlas, and I was surprised when I saw this. You can get the Atlas with a optional, I mean, it's not optional, it's the base engine. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, 235 horsepower, which I thought this was slow, and you could only imagine how would this handle with 7 people in the car having 4 cylinders and a tiny little turbo, basically like similar engine to what they use in a Passat. In terms of fuel economy, this particular model gets 17 city, 24 highway, but the 4-cylinder version I mentioned earlier does 22 and 20, I believe about 5 or 6, which is a tad better, but either way, I haven't seen, if I go into the menu right here, we're averaging 18.3. To be honest though, we've had the car for 90% of the time full with 8 people in it, or 7 people. And we've been driving it, you know, moderately, not quickly, but you know, to get, you know, get in and out of highways. It's been mostly highway driving. So yeah, I mean, I have had a hard time achieving anything more than 20 in this vehicle with the V6 motor. I would assume the 4-cylinder gets a little bit better fuel economy. However, it is, I would say, to the point that it's dangerously slow. Like, you can't get in and out of highways or do, you know, quick maneuvers safely and get out of a tight situation when you push the accelerator. However, the 8-speed is pretty responsive. It does a pretty good job at holding you in the right gear, you know. As a whole, what I think about the Atlas is, for a sub-40s 7-seater comfortable, you know, family SUV with the all-wheel drive and the V6, and you know, the basic amenities you get, which most of them aren't power operated, but they are there. You just gotta work for them a little, you know, harder, I guess. But on the upside, you know, a manual passenger seat would never go out. As for this one, I don't know how long this would work. Or same thing with the rear the third row seats. A lot of cars nowadays have a electric button for them to move. This car has none of that. All the seats move manually, but they do all move pretty conveniently. You just pull a cord and they drop down. But yeah, overall for a sub-40s mid-size SUV, I would suggest that Atlas if you are in the market for a 7-seater third row SUV with decent gas mileage, decent amenities, and you know, pretty good looks. Alrighty guys, thanks to every one of y'all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you like the 2019 Volkswagen Atlas SE. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Peace out until the next video.